Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Yeah, I'm sure there's still an echo. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet. And welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel on this, what's the day today? It's not even down here. It's the, Tuesday, the 16th of July, 2024. And I'm back with more things to talk about. I really want to spend most of the time today on this Biden interview with Lester Holt. I know there's a lot more stuff going on. J.D. Vance has been named Donald Trump's running mate. They're still wondering how the fact that the Secret Service had every building cover but the one that the shooter ended up being on. And also we found out today or yesterday that building was also the headquarters for the local police. So how did anyone get on that roof? That's a great question. And also there seems to be some question about, with J.D. Vance, there's a question, well, he used to be a never-Trumper, right? Yeah, well, you know what? I was a never-Trumper. I changed my mind. Anybody? Who gives a shit? What he was, it's what he is now. And he fully supports the president, and he's one of those choices that just like to piss off the left, and we'll see how the right react to it if we have some time. If not, we'll do it tomorrow. We got time because the election's not till November. Anyway, first things first, we have our first sponsor today. Avocados Diablo dropped a tray in the tip jar, and you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Thank you, sir. With the comment, so J.D. Vance, probably a good choice strategically. Former harsh critic of Trump turned supporter, used right. He could pull in a lot of the mushy middle and some on the right who have been anti-Trump. See, that's the other thing. A good point there. If a former critic is your ally now, I mean, it worked for Joe Biden, didn't it? Didn't Kamala Harris basically called Joe Biden a racist? I'm pretty sure she did in those debates. It was just a debate. Well, then, yeah, you can have a former rival as your ally now. And that's what Donald Trump chose to do. What the bloody hell is that? Hang on, I got to fix something before I switch screens. What the hell? What happened? That's not the alert box. What is that? Oh, it's gigantic. Hang on a second. Let's fix that. I can't have that on my screen. Holy crap. That is gigantic. What the hell happened? Let me see if I can fit that on the screen. Okay. I have to hang on a second. Well, maybe I should try to hide it. What the hell do I do with this? I can't believe how gigantic this is. Yeah, that sounds weird, doesn't it? That's what she said. Okay, hang on. Which is definitely not true. Okay, so the Streamlab, I don't have the word Streamlab Superstar Sponsor of the Day on here, but it's there. We'll fix that later. But that's why Avocados Diablo's name is going to be at the top of the screen, because he's the Streamlab Superstar Sponsor of the Day, and you get your name on the screen there, bud. All right, let's get this thing started. Let's say hi to everybody real quick. Let's do that. First in the chat today is Mr. Mike Savage. Blarg, he gets the bell. Yes, thank you for being bright and sunshiny and all that stuff. Also, good morning, of course, Avocados Diablo. Why didn't that work? Avocados Diablo. Yeah, gotta have his theme music. Also, good morning, JB, who was close. You gotta be quick. Kara Soldiers in the house. Zed the Snarky. Judah Fiend. Dom O'Leary, welcome back. Also, good morning, Patty O Furniture. Grillin' Pirate Pete. Simon Wilkins. Don't Hack Me Bros back. Nice to see you again. El Gringo's in the house. GDSOB is here. Aaron Meredith. And, of course, number one is in the house. So people are strolling in slowly but surely. But be sure to hit the like button and share the stream while you're at it, and then we'll get more people in here. Let's see if we can get 100 people in here today. I know that's unlikely, but there's got to be a way. I don't know. And also, good morning, amazing disgrace. How sweet the sound. And also, good morning, Darren Root. How you doing, brother? Good to have you here. Kind of makes sense. What was saying the enemy of my enemy is my friend? Yeah, look, and JD Vance, his tune has changed. Look, I remember, if you go back to like the third video I made ever on this channel, you go back, you scroll down, you go all the way back there, and I think it was the third video I ever made on this channel. I made a video about who I was going to vote for. Because remember a long time ago that Casey Neistat dude, when Donald Trump was running against Hillary Clinton, and Casey Neistat made the video, I am voting for Hillary Clinton. I'm like, and then he challenged all these YouTubers to make videos about who they're voting for, because he thought everyone would make videos about voting for Hillary Clinton. And I was just brand new to YouTube at the time. And I said, well, I'm not a famous YouTuber yet, and I'm still not, but I made a video, said, I am never Trump, I am never Hillary, and I ended up voting for the sweet meteor of death in the 2016 election because I didn't trust Donald Trump. I thought Donald Trump was just a jackass, and I didn't really believe that he was going to do any of the stuff he was talking about. But once he became president, and I realized, he's really going to try to do everything he said. He's going to do what he said he was going to do. It was so refreshing to see a politician actually fight for the things he said he was going to do in the elections, And I was like, okay, that's cool. I can do this. And so in 2020, I changed my mind. People change their mind. They see, they don't believe it. They see later, and then they go, oh, well, he's all right. And so in 2024, the choices are Donald Trump or Joseph Rahim Biden. Well, I'm not voting for Joe Biden anyway, but I am affirmatively also voting for the guy with the funny hair. So people change their mind. And I still think Trump's a jackass, but I think we need a jackass in the White House to deal with all the other jackasses out in the world. So there you go. All right. Thank you, JB. Also dropping a little 5 spot in the tip jar, a.k.a. the Canadian dollar, who says World War III didn't kick off, so I got myself a PS5. LOL. Oh, you just got a PS5? Well, there you go. I don't have a PS5. It's funny when you have children and they no longer live in the house, how you don't have to spend money on gaming consoles anymore. Because for whatever reason, my wife thought it was very important that my son always had the latest gaming console, which was actually fun because I like to play the games too. But I haven't bought one. I think the last one, did we ever have a PS3? Or no, he didn't do PS. We had an Xbox. We were Xbox home. But he bought himself a PS2 when that came out. But we had both. But yeah, I don't even know what the latest Xbox. Do they even have Xboxes anymore? Can't you just plug a controller into your computer now and just do all the Xbox games on your well, no, because you don't have a disc. Well, they don't have a disc anymore either. See, it's all new to me. I'm so far behind in the gaming world. I should just go on what's that what's the online game thing where you download games? I'm going to start using my computer. I might actually start playing games again. I don't know. Not Twitch. You play them on Twitch. What's the one Ranting Monkey uses a lot? I can't remember. I have a account at it, but I just don't remember what it's called. Steam. Thank you. I could not remember the name of Steam. I have a Steam account. I should just start downloading games. Anyway, thank you, JB. Thank you, Avocado Diabli, for kicking off the show. Sponsor the show. Super Chats, or better yet, Streamlabs, which that link, where is that link? Holy shit. I suppose I should figure out where that is. Is it in the chat yet? Is Johnny Boomer Tech here yet? I haven't seen Johnny Boomer Tech yet. For some reason, that's not working either. So thank you, Johnny Boomer Tech, for failing me. You failed me, dude. You failed me. All right. Let me just check something. I don't know why he works when, did Johnny Boomer Tech work when those donations came up? Didn't even notify me of the donations. What is going on with Johnny Boomer Tech? That's kind of pissing me off. Well, let's see if I can figure that out. It says it's there, and there's the timers. They're all on. And I know they show up later. Maybe it's because I have the intervals are long. Did you announce who is on Rumble? I did not announce who was on Rumble because there's no Rumble today. I forgot to tell you. Yeah, Rumble is Rumble's. For whatever reason, ever since I got yeeted from Streamlabs, my multi-stream capabilities seem to be limited, and I don't know if it's because of Rumble or if it's because of whatever. Hello, Tyre Alexander's in the house. How you doing, brother? Tyre is here. And also, good morning, GDSOB. I think I said that already. Darren Roots here. Is that the snarky? I already said that. Okay, I got everybody, I think. All right, let's get the show. Because really what I wanted to do today, Joe Biden did this interview with Lester Holt. You know who Lester Holt is, right? Lester Holt's the NBC news anchor, venerable gentleman. And he did an interview with Joseph Rahim Biden post the Pew Pew event with Donald John Trump. And so I wanted to go through this interview because remember, yesterday there was the word was, okay, we're going to turn down the heat on the rhetoric. And I know that, you know, that's what the words that came out of Joe Biden's mouth were, but I want to see how that works in real time. So, Lester Holt, interesting too, that this is the second time Biden has done an interview where the interview is not being edited. So it seems like the media all at the same time have decided that they're not going to edit these interviews. And that's great, I think, because then you get to see how they really go. Because I remember watching that 60 Minutes. Remember that 60 Minutes interview Joe Biden did? And boy, he was smooth answering those questions. They had it out there perfectly. But then you realize, oh, wait, they edit the entire interview. In fact, you might get, the way they edit interviews, you might get an answer that didn't even correspond with the actual raw feed question. And so, you know, you never know if those are real interviews. So this one was a real interview. You get Biden bumbling and stumbling over his words and everything and saying stupid shit. And so we're going to watch that. Good morning, Jimmy Das Hotep's in the house. Nice to see you. So let's do that. We're going to watch this interview, Lester Holt interviewing Joseph Rahim Biden. I'm skipping the preview and the post view. It may take a good portion of the show, but I want to go through this because there's a couple interesting things that happen. I've already watched it once, but there's a few interesting things here that happen, and one of them is right at the beginning. I'll see if you catch it. Let's see if you catch this.
Mr. President, thank you for sitting down with us. There's a lot to talk about. I'd like to start with the horrible events of last weekend. It has shocked a lot of Americans. A political rally, your opponent, Donald Trump, shot in the middle of greeting his supporters. You spoke to Mr. Trump afterward. Can you give me a sense of that conversation?
Now, before we even get to Joe Biden answering a question, I said there's something interesting at the beginning of this interview, and perhaps you've already caught it. I'm going to give you a second and see if you caught it. Do 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 boom boom. Lester Holt, just said Donald Trump and referred to him as Mr. Trump. Now, the news media, by the way, this is Joe's natural position in the freeze frame. It's traditional to refer to former presidents by their highest title that they've had, which for Donald Trump would be President Trump, or he could say former President Trump. But he refers to Donald Trump as Mr. Trump. Now, I don't know if this is a Whoopi Goldberg-esque choice by Lester Holt. Is it a slip? But in my mind, it is a sign of disrespect for a former president. I'm just curious why he would do that, if that's a choice. They have always called him Mr. Trump. Not everybody. And in fact, we'll see later in the interview, he will refer to another president in a very different way. And later in the interview also, he does say former President Trump, but that's in a different context. So anyway, good morning, Trippy Liberty, my brother. What's up? All right, so we'll go back to the question.
Assassination attempt.
Here.
President, thank you for sitting down with us. There's a lot to talk about. I'd like to start with the horrible events of last weekend. It has shocked a lot of Americans. A political rally, your opponent, Donald Trump, shot in the middle of
Tire, I almost spit out my coffee when I read what you wrote there. Not surprising. I'm more amazed that he doesn't call him convicted felon Trump or Cheeto Hitler. And you almost got me to spill out my coffee.
His supporters. You spoke to Mr. Trump afterward.
Again, you spoke to Mr. Trump after. He said it again.
Can you give me a sense of that conversation?
Very cordial. I told him how concerned I was and wanted to make sure I knew
That's a lie.
how he was actually doing. He sounded good. He said he was fine.
Sorry.
And he thanked me for calling him. I told him he was literally in the prayers of Jill and me, and I hope his whole family.
As opposed to figuratively in the prayers of Jill and me.
Was weathering this.
You were in Delaware when this happened. What was your first reaction?
My first reaction was.
His first reaction was, yes! Wait, what? No? Oh, fuck! That was... Never mind.
My God, this is... Look, there's so much violence.
Hi, Lynn Hunter.
Now, the way we talk about it. I mean...
Now, listen to this little part here carefully, because he's gonna lay out some examples of there are so much violence right now.
Look, there's so much violence now, the way we talk about it. I mean, the whole notion that there is this, there's no place at all for violence in politics in America. None.
Oh, okay.
Zero. And we've reached a point where it's become too commonplace, not assassinations, but to talk about
Really?
it.
No? Really? Because I remember there was a baseball game where they tried to kill some people. That was against Republicans. I remember the guy walking down the street in Brett Kavanaugh's neighborhood. That was probably well, they say it was an assassination attempt. I don't know. Does he mention those?
For example.
Okay, listen to his examples.
So the January 6th, the attack on the Capitol. Lester, I got in this race early on in
So he mentions January 6th. Will he mention any of the political violence of 2020? Will he mention any of the political violence in 2017 on the day Trump was inaugurated? Will he mention any of the rhetoric by people that would support him but was violent rhetoric against his opponents? Hello, Roasted Opinions, by the way.
2020 for the 2020 race. I wasn't going to run again because I lost my son. I didn't feel, and
what year did Joe Biden lose his son? Someone look that up. Tell me what year Joe Biden lost his son, because I don't think he lost it that year. I know he didn't run again he didn't run in 2016. That might have been closer to when his son died. 2020 had nothing to do with his son.
Until I watched what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Here he comes to this
Those folks
again.
coming out of the woods with torches, carrying swastikas, singing the same Nazi bile. It was accompanied by this Ku Klux Klan. And
Okay, so yeah, the coming out of the woods. I think in that case in Charlottesville, now they weren't carrying swastikas. That's a lie. They were all wearing khaki pants and white polo shirts, and there were no swastikas to be found. They weren't really coming out of the woods necessarily. I know there was one video, and also that event, that was on Friday. It was not on Saturday, the day the real shit went to hell. Okay, when they were trying to talk about the when they had the statue thing and all those counter protesters, and the girl was killed by the car and stuff. That was the next day. But he's got this all melded together, if you notice. Listen to this.
And swastikas singing the same Nazi bile was accompanied by this Ku Klux Klan, and a young woman was...
And there was no Ku Klux Klan there, by the way. Zero. That was not part of that. So now he just keeps adding shit to what happened in Charlottesville. He doesn't know what happened in Charlottesville. He only knows from whatever news reports. He's kind of... I don't know if he's lying or he's just remembering shit that didn't happen. Okay,
was killed, and
no one ever. And the thing is, no one in the media ever calls him on that. That's the other part. No one ever corrects him on any of this, because they have this I don't know, conditioned memory based on what Biden just says over and over. He's like conditioning them to believe that that's what happened. And none of that did not happen. Yes, these assholes were out there with little, lamp oil tiki torches, marching down the street saying stupid shit like Jews will not replace us and shit. But there were no Klansmen there. That wasn't the Nazis. They weren't carrying swastikas. None of the above. He keeps making shit up.
The bystander, and
he mentions killing the bystander. Not the same day. That was the next day. It's a completely different thing. Listen again.
The same Nazi bile was accompanied by this Ku Klux Klan, and a young woman was killed.
The young woman was killed the next day at a different protest and counter protest. Was not the same day.
And it was a bystander, and the president.
And she wasn't a bystander. She was an active counter protester. It wasn't just a bystander. Not that she should not have been. She should have not have died. That dickhead with the car who drove into the crowd should not have been there. That shouldn't have happened. But stop lying about who everyone is here.
Then president was asked, what do you think? He said, they're very fine people on both sides.
Okay, and Lester's not going to call him on this lie, which has been debunked over and over and over again, even by Snopes of all places. The fact-checking Marvel Snopes finally, 5 whatever years later, or 8 years later, whatever it is, finally came out and said, well, no, he didn't call those people, the other people are fine people. But will Lester call him on it?
Not fine people on both sides. No excuse. Zero.
Well, let's talk about...
He won't. He moves on. Let's talk about something else. And this is good because Lester's not going to let him filibuster on this bullshit. He wants different questions answered. And by the way, is that turning down the rhetoric, lying about Donald Trump? Don't think so. Tex AG, below Evan, and K-Shell's in the house. How you doing?
About the conversation this has started, and it's really about language, what we say out loud, and the consequences of those. You called your opponent an existential threat on a call a week ago. You said it's time to put Trump in.
An existential threat. Wow. Now, if someone is an existential threat to you and your family, you'd have some feelings about that, now wouldn't you? Listen to Joe Biden answer this question.
In the bullseye.
Wait, hang on. Let's go back.
Consequences of those. You called your opponent an existential threat on a call a week ago. You said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. There's some
in the bullseye. Oh my goodness. Remember when Sarah Palin was running? What the hell was she running for? She was vice president. She was vice president's candidate, and she was talking about. She put the they were targeting some congressional races, and they put X's over those congressional races. They accused her of being the cause of the shooting of Gabby Giffords because she put a bullseye on Gabby Giffords. Remember that? Well, now, did Joe Biden remember that, or did he use that rhetoric? Is he the reason the other guy with the funny hair just had a bloody ear at the rally?
Some dispute about the context, but I think you appreciate that.
I didn't say
words
crosshairs.
matter.
I was talking about focus on. Look, the truth of the matter was, what I guess I was talking about at the time was there was very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term is bullseye.
Yeah, there's no focus on Trump's agenda. No one. I've never heard anyone mention the Heritage Foundation's Project 25 or 2020, whatever the hell the fuck it's called, 2025. That isn't really Trump's agenda, but nobody's talking about that. None of the media is talking about Donald Trump. No one in the media talks about Donald Trump. They never criticize him in the media. What, Joe?
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on him. Focus on what he's.
I didn't say it. Well, that's not what your people said. Hello, Unacceptable Views. How you doing?
Doing. Focus on his policies. Focus on the number of lives.
And yes, I believe that's what Joe Biden intended when he said, we got to put a bullseye on his agenda. But as we've learned in the past, that is hate speech. That is dangerous rhetoric. That is violent rhetoric when you use that, when you say put a bullseye on your opponent. And so I believe that Joe Biden should be held accountable. Thank you, Avocado Diablo, dropping another tray in the tip jar. Thank you very much. What did I play that for? There we go. Appreciate you. AD says, if you consider someone an existential threat, you actually have a moral imperative to remove them from God's census. That is the danger of referring to a person that way. Some nut out there will internalize that message exactly. Thank you, AD. Again, a perfect synopsis of what should have been going through my head. Thank you very much, AD. Appreciate it. Continue.
He told in the debate, focus. I mean, there's a whole range of things that, look, I'm not the guy that said.
Okay, did Joe just start 3 sentences in a row and not finish any of them? Listen to this answer. Listen to this.
Focus on his policies. Focus on the number of lies he told in the debate. Focus. I mean, there's a whole range of things that, look, I'm not the guy that said I want to be a dictator on day one.
Okay, that's another lie. That is another lie that he keeps saying, claiming that Donald Trump is going to be a dictator. Donald Trump was talking about executive orders and that he'd be like a dictator day one, but he wouldn't be on day 2. Okay? Just like Joseph Rahim Biden on his first day in office signed multiple executive orders, kind of like a dictator on day 1. And then he continued kind of being the dictator with some certain agenda items, but we won't talk about that because this is an interview about Donald Trump and the race this time.
I'm not the guy that refused to accept the outcome of the election.
Okay, and again, if you feel like the election has been compromised, would you accept the outcome of an election? Would you, Joe? And he's going to lie about some other stuff here.
I'm not the guy who said that one would accept the outcome of this election automatically.
He didn't say that, did he? He said if it's a fair election, he's going to accept the outcome. He didn't say automatically not accept it. I'm sure he'll accept it if he wins. Jeez.
Can't only love your country when you win.
Yeah, well, no, that's not what he's doing.
The focus was on what he's saying, and I mean the idea.
But have you taken a step back and done a little soul searching on things that you may have said that
Absolutely
could incite people who are not balanced?
Well, I don't think, look, how do you talk about the threat to democracy?
And also this threat to democracy. Again, I'm going to use AD's words, and I'm going to change this little quotation mark. If you consider someone a, quote, threat to democracy, end quote, which, I know, representative republic. You actually have a moral imperative to remove them from God's census. I just substitute a couple words there. Yeah, this threat to democracy thing, which is, first of all, it is bullshit. He's not a threat to our form of government. Our form of government has checks and balances, even if the Republicans win the House and the Senate. There are so many checks and balances to the representative republic that we have formed. It's not a democracy. It's not two wolves and a sheep saying what's for dinner. Okay? It's not. That's why it was set up the way it was. And one man is not going to be able to change the Constitution by himself. And that's where you get these assholes claiming he's going to change everything. He's going to be like Hitler and he's going to become a dictator and this and that. It's not really as feasible in our form of government, the way it's set up. So look, this whole threat to democracy thing has always been a piece of rhetoric that the Democrats have used. And unfortunately, they've been effective at pounding that stupid phrase into people's head.
Which is real. When a president says things like he says.
Like what?
You just not say anything because it may incite somebody? Look,
So in other words, Joe says he's going to keep saying the same shit he's been saying.
I have not engaged in that rhetoric.
Yes, you are.
No,
oh my God. You are. You are. And you have in the past. What did that thing you used to say in your old speech about, I'd like to take him, if I was in high school, I'd take him out of the bleachers and beat the hell out of him. Gee, that sounds like some violent rhetoric to me.
My opponent is engaged in that rhetoric. He talks about there'll be a bloodbath if he loses.
And he lied. Okay, and again, a lie about the bloodbath thing. He was talking about economics. The words were about economics. The bloodbath for the auto industry if they allowed China to produce electric vehicles in Mexico. It would be a bloodbath to our economic industry, the auto industry. And he's still lying about that. And is Lester Holt going to call him out on it? Let's find out.
Talking about how he's going to forgive all the, actually, I guess, suspend the sentences of all those who were arrested and sentenced to go to jail because
I don't believe he said all. He's going to talk about, this is about January 6th.
What happened in the Capitol. I'm not out there making fun of, like, remember the picture of Donald Trump when Nancy Pelosi's husband was hit with a hammer, joking about it?
Was he? Now, I don't remember if Trump joked about it. I know his son did. And I know I did. And again, we got some bad information. It's probably not the right thing to do, but did Donald Trump ridicule Paul Pelosi? I'm not so sure.
This doesn't sound like you're turning down the heat, though. You've
Good for Lester for bringing that up.
What I'm turning down, we have to stop the whole notion that there are certain things that are contrary to our democracy that we're for. The idea of saying...
What are you talking about contrary to our democracy? Again, that is the talking point that they have decided to run with forever. This whole, he's a threat to democracy. Well, no, he's not. Believe me, he's not. There is no way. Basically, you're saying that he's going to change our Constitution. Ain't happening. Just not happening.
That I didn't win the election when every court in the land
dismissed the cases on standing,
including this conservative Supreme Court, said we won. The idea.
No, they didn't say you won. They swatted down the cases. Mostly on standing. None of them were ever heard on the merits. None of the cases actually were adjudicated. Not one case actually made it to an adjudication process.
A loyalty pledge from all the folks who are in a Republican MAGA, not all Republicans, the MAGA Republicans.
I don't know about the
no, we lost the election, inflaming the people that say,
So what can you and what will you do, at least things you can control to lower down the
not a damn
the rhetoric out there?
Here's what he's going to do. he's going to tell the other side to tone down their rhetoric. That's what he's going to do. That's basically what he's saying. We're going to keep saying the same old shit. A lot of it just complete lies, bloodbath, very fine people, all those little lies they tell about Trump, called Mexicans rapists and murderers, okay? And we're going to tell them to tone down their rhetoric. See, that's how it works. So really, he's not telling them to do anything. Just carry on.
Continue to talk about the things that matter to the American public.
Oh, like immigration and inflation?
Whether or not.
Because you're not talking about those things. You're not talking about immigration and inflation. Those are the things that are important to the American people right now. Those are the top two items: pocketbook, your money, and the fact that we're diluting our country with thousands of people, putting them up hotels, spending millions and billions and trillions probably on illegal immigrants. You're not talking about those things, Joe, because those don't really work for you very well. You're talking about bloodbath and abortion. That shouldn't be in the same sentence, but you know what I mean.
Matters whether or not you, for example, talk about how you're going to deal with the border instead of talking about people as being vermin.
Okay, again, the whole vermin thing, what was he talking about? He was talking about the MS-13 gangs, the people murdering people in our country. Didn't say that immigrants are vermin. Again, he was talking about something very specific, and you fuckers cherry pick one word out of it and repeat it over and over again. And I think your advisors, that's probably what they tell you he said. They probably don't even tell you the whole thing because you won't. If they tell you everything he said, you probably won't remember it anyway. So they just tell you a couple words to use, and you use them over and over again.
Those things matter. That's the kind of language that is inflammatory.
Mr. President, you've been in politics.
Yeah, see, calling someone an existential threat to our way of life, that's not inflammatory at all.
Very long time. So let's speak frankly. We're all adults here. Has this shooting changed the trajectory of this race?
He wouldn't know, and
I don't
why
know,
won't?
and you don't
Nobody
know
knows.
I don't know, but it's something you've given thought to?
Oh, by the way, he gets a little snarky with Lester. He gets a little touchy with Lester. He didn't like the questions sometimes, or doesn't like what Lester says, so he gets a little angry, and it's kind of, sundowner type behavior.
No, I've thought less about the trajectory of the case than two things.
The case?
One, what his health is, that was secure, number one. And number two, what happens from here on in terms of the kind of coverage that the president and vice president and former president and new vice president get.
Is he going to blame the media? He's going to blame the media. Look, he's starting to wear orange makeup, and he's going to start complaining about the fake news. And wait a minute, is he trying to be more like Trump?
Look.
Oh, again, he cannot finish a sentence. I'm going to go back because I keep talking over him, but he starts sentences and never finishes them.
I don't know, and you don't know either.
I don't know, but it's something you've given thought to?
No, I've thought less about the trajectory of the case than two things. One, what his health is, that was secure, number one. And number two, what happens from here on in terms of the kind of coverage that the president and vice president and former president and new vice president get in terms of, look.
In terms of what? Finish your sentence! You're driving me nuts! Finish your damn sentence! Thank you, Avocados Day. I'll be dropping a tray in the tip jar. And I greatly appreciate it. If you guys want to do super chats, the best. Oh, it's still not showing up in there. Hang on a second. All right, hang on a minute. I got to fix this. Let's just post it at the top because there's a new Streamlabs link. And let's drop here. Let's see. Just a second here.
I've never seen a circumstance.
Because this is hang on. Oh my God. No, I don't need that. I want Streamlabs. Dashboard. There we go. I apologize. The new Streamlabs link, I probably should pin to the top of the chat here. Just because, for whatever reason, here we go. There, we'll pin that to the chat because all right, let's get back to the interview here. But anyway, thank you, Avocados Diabli, who says, to be fair, if Biden stopped using rhetoric that painted Trump as a threat to democracy, every kind of existential threat, and worse than Hitler, what else would he be able to say? Not like he has anything else to run on. Yeah, that is true. He can say he keeps saying, "Oh, I'm the most successful president of all time, ever, ever, and ever." And the facts are that is bullshit. He's not. I mean, yes, they passed some bills that. And I'm going to come back to that because he does that in the same interview. Hello, T2. I'll be back. Nice to see you. All right, here we go.
Where you ride through certain rural areas of the country and people have signs that are circumstances.
Hey, I'm going to go back.
Vice President, what happens from here on in terms of the kind of coverage that the president and vice president and former president and new vice president get in terms of, look.
Yeah.
I've never seen a circumstance where you ride through certain rural areas of the country and people have signs there standing.
I know he slurred his word there. He's saying when you drive through certain rural areas of the country and you see signs that
big Trump signs with middle signs saying F Biden and a little kid standing there putting up his middle finger.
I do see that a lot. In fact, I drove through rural Minnesota yesterday and saw on the side of someone's house. I mean, the entire side of this house, this giant sign that F Joe Biden. But let's just put that in perspective, though. Now, I know that while Trump was president, I know that I heard the phrase, fuck Donald Trump many, many, many times. In fact, there were songs that they were playing on not on the radio, but on the internet. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck Donald Trump. So the idea that that's something new and you're just noticing it because your name's attached to it now, well. Goose gander. Pot kettle. I can't think of any other analogies.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff that is just
FJB, baby. FJB.
A kind of viciousness. It's a very different thing.
Vicious?
Look,
if really that's vicious, you're the biggest pussy in the world. Here we go.
The way he takes care of taxes. The way he has...
Oh, stop. Thank you, Tyre. Of Dust and Sand, a.k.a. Tyre Alexander, dropped a tray in the tip jar saying, "Why do you want old orange man? We have the new orange man already in the White House. I'm waiting for Cankles McGee to go against J.D. Vance. It is going to be one for the ages. You don't want to make Brandon angry. Wouldn't like Brandon when he's angry." Yes. Thank you, Tyre Alexander, for sponsoring the show. You are a great American. All right. Thank you, Tyre. Appreciate it. Back to this. He's bitching about the rhetoric against him.
As wants a $5 trillion tax cut for people who are making a lot of money.
He wants a $5 trillion tax cut for the people making a lot of money. I didn't hear about that. He wants this is a case of Joe kind of getting the gist of what Trump's doing, but then making up shit.
Doesn't focus on working class people.
Doesn't focus on working class people? Then why he's always in the trenches with working class people? Why did he do a rally in North Philly? Why was he in Brooklyn? Or where was he? Not Brooklyn. He was in the Bronx. He was in the South Bronx talking to working class people People who had jobs and were actually doing pretty well while Donald Trump was president. Thank you, Avocados Diabli, who says, fuck Joe Biden is not violent rhetoric, you fucking senile, half-brained, dead old man. And neither is that. Yes, thank you. That was perfect. That was perfect. Thank you. Thank you, AD. Okay.
Policy issues, and our history is a country that can thoroughly hash out those issues.
And if you notice, what do I talk about with him? The policy issues where he's
really
dividing the country.
I thought you were talking about him being an existential threat.
Another question, if I can, about Saturday. Of course, the former president was wounded. One of his supporters died. A couple more people were seriously injured. Was this a massive security failure?
Yes. How can you say anything but yes? Let's see what Joe says.
I have had 2 meetings in the Situation Room with
Don't care about your meetings. Is it a massive security failure?
Secret Service Center, and I've asked for a totally independent analysis.
And then wait a minute. Wait. What did he just say? Listen to what he just said again.
I've had 2 meetings in the Situation Room with all the intelligence communities, the FBI, Secret Service Center, and I've asked for a totally independent analysis.
Okay. You've sat in a room with national security heads, with the FBI and the Secret Service, and you've asked for a completely independent security analysis from the people who you're getting an analysis of, the FBI and the Secret Service. Oh my God! Hello, Maddie. What are you talking about, Joe? What does that mean?
You are so dumb. You are really dumb.
I asked for an independent security analysis from the agencies that are being analyzed. Did he really mean to say that?
And we'll see what happens when that comes back.
Do you have confidence?
And how is this not a security failure? That someone's allowed on a roof 150 yards from a former president who's being protected by the Secret Service that would normally be within the security perimeter. You know what else is funny about this? I was thinking about this. Okay, think about, let me do an aside here. Let's just take that off the screen for a minute. Think about this security breach or whatever, this thing. Okay? Listen carefully. So, you're telling me that a young man climbed onto the top of a roof within 150 yards of a person being protected by the Secret Service in an area that would normally be within a security perimeter, in a building that was the headquarters for the event for the local police. He was able to climb onto a building with an AR-15. Now, this was a young, inexperienced shooter who people say, his friends who've been interviewed said he's not a very good shot. That while he's on that roof that he climbed onto, he was distracted by a police officer and pointed his gun at the police officer, causing the police officer to retreat, and then seconds later fired a shot that nearly did a fucking Call of Duty style headshot from 150 yards with an AR-15 style weapon with no scope at 150 yards, nearly getting a headshot. Seconds after being distracted by a police officer. Oh, my fellow gun owners and people who have fired weapons before in the range or wherever, remember, this is 150 yards away. That is a football field and a half. That's over roughly 500 feet away. 450 for who's counting. With an AR-15 with no scope. Now, are AR-15s designed to be super duper, super accurate weapons from a long distance, like a sniper rifle? Not really. And he had a scope on that rifle. The picture I saw, there was no scope on the rifle. But whether he had a scope or not, like within seconds after being distracted by a police officer, he was able to turn and train his sights on the former president of the United States head within seconds and get a shot off that tweaked the president's ear. An inexperienced shooter was able to get off that accurate a shot at 450 feet. I have some doubts about this whole event. Thank you, Avocados Diablo, sponsor the show one more time. Who says the policies of democracy? Yeah, he did say the words the policy of democracy, didn't he? Does this get paid every time he uses the word democracy? He throws it into nearly every fucking sentence he says. Yes, he does. It's amazing, isn't it? All right. Good morning, Rick Ashbringer. I see you dropping in. Also, you're ridiculous lunatics in the house. Nice to see you. Good to have you here. And Furry Kitten, welcome. All right. Let's continue.
Evidence in the Secret Service?
Hang on a second.
That's for a totally independent analysis.
Okay, independent analysis.
And we'll see what happens when that comes back.
By the way, yes, this was a massive failure on the part of the Secret Service. Okay, let's just be honest. Okay, we saw the little Pac-Man perimeter that they had. Yes, it's a massive failure of the Secret Service. This is their job. Anytime your protectee gets shot, that is a massive failure of your job. Just let's be honest.
Do you have confidence in the Secret Service? Do you feel safe?
I feel safe with the Secret Service.
Okay, he feels safe with the Secret Service. Should Donald Trump feel safe with the Secret Service? It seems like it's a very... And let's just say I'm not espousing any conspiracy theories, but it certainly is an oddly convenient lapse, and they kind of got the perfect foil. Look, what kind of okay, let me give you a comparison. Lee Harvey Oswald. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm done. Keep going.
But look, and you saw, what we did see was the Secret Service who responded risked their lives in responding. They're ready to give their lives to the president.
Except for that one lady who hid behind the president.
The question is, should they have anticipated what happened? Should they have done what they needed to do to prevent this from happening?
Oh, you mean when people were telling him there's a guy climbing up onto the roof with a gun that didn't look like he was an officer? You think they maybe should have done something before he got up on that roof? I don't know. And again, we found out that building was the headquarters of the local police for that event. They were in the building, and someone's climbing on the roof of the building they're in and got off shots from him.
That's a question that's an open question.
Is it acceptable that you have still not heard, at least publicly, from the Secret Service director?
Oh, I've heard from them.
But have you heard from her publicly?
Publicly, I've sat down in a situation room downstairs with the Secret Service, the FBI, the National Security Agencies, the Homeland Security, all the major elements. And there's two.
And they're going to investigate themselves.
To this too. And it's not an excuse, it's just nor an explanation. There's a major piece of this relates to domestic, local law enforcement. They play a large role. And so there's a different competent. I'm not saying they weren't competent either. I'm just saying it's a complicated process. And what has changed, by the way, Lester, is, you know me, I like to meet people. I like to walk out, shake hands, move, look at people in the eyes, see what they're thinking. It's
because I'm clairvoyant.
Really curtail that ability on my part and everybody's part. And so, because
I bet it's not going to change Donald Trump. I bet Donald Trump will still be out there shaking hands and shit like he does. You know how Donald Trump does. He's over at the Republican National Convention right now, probably hand slapping whoever he can.
There's a heightened notion that when you say...
Okay, Garrett, there's another sentence he didn't finish.
There's nothing wrong with going to the Capitol, breaking in, threatening people.
Who said that? Who has said that? Who has said there's nothing wrong with going to the Capitol, breaking in, hurting, whatever he's saying? Who has anybody said that was a great thing that happened? Again, Biden's lying again. Hello, Selecta Boy.
Yeah, boy.
And hi, Sydney Oberg. How you doing, my friend?
A couple cops dying, hanging.
Oh, whoa. He told another lie.
With going to the Capitol.
Wait, hang on. Let's go back.
It's really curtailed that ability.
Here's
on my
another
part
lie.
And everybody's part.
Listen.
And so, because there's a heightened notion that when you say,
Okay, didn't finish the sentence. Then he goes on to January 6th.
with going to the Capitol, breaking in, threatening people, a couple cops dying, hanging up, putting up a noose, a gallows for the former vice president, and somehow and then you say you're going to forgive people for that? You're going to pardon them?
Okay. How many lies does he say in just that little bit? You say it's okay to break into the Capitol. That's a lie. He did not say it was okay to break into the Capitol. He said that where police officers were killed, not a single police officer was killed on that day at the Capitol. Why is this still going in now? Oh, I hit mute instead of stopping it.
Documents cases you may have heard.
Forgive people for that?
What was the other one? Oh, the noose. Oh, the noose for Mike Pence. Oh, you mean the noose that was made for the shortest midget ever born? It was 3 feet high. That was a fake gallows made out of 2x4s. Yeah, I don't think so. It was basically a piece of art. Thank you, Tyre, again, dropping a tray in the tip jar, who says the kid trained on the most elite of training programs, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 5. He was no-scoping in multiplayer matches with the most hardcore of elite warriors. I'm amazed they haven't blamed violent video games for this yet. Oh, that is so true. The kid was a nerd, though. He was, I watched an interview of his teacher talking to, of all people, the amazing Lucas. And, he was in a technology club and stuff, and he was in Votech kind of classes, but he wasn't necessarily a loner. He didn't have a lot of friends, but no one ever picked on him. So anyway, and also thank you, Avocados Diablo. He says, when you say, if it comes down to, if you ever, but anyway, fuck, it's contagious. Yes, it is, isn't it? I know I get caught up doing it. But yeah, all those lies about January 6th he just told in a row.
With going to the Capitol, breaking
Hello,
in,
Simon Wilkins.
threatening people, a couple cops dying,
Wait,
hanging up.
let me go back. I'm gonna do this. Okay, here we go.
With going to the Capitol.
Oh, hang on, not far enough.
Heightened ability on my part. When you say there's nothing wrong with going to the Capitol, breaking in, threatening people, a couple cops dying, hanging up, putting up a noose, a gallows for the former vice president, and somehow and then you say you're going to forgive people for that? You're going to pardon them? That was just a normal response? That is not. I have my entire career fought against and railed against and moved against the idea of violence is never appropriate. Never, 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 never in politics.
Okay, so violence never appropriate, and yet, have you ever condemned Maxine Waters for her little diatribe out there saying, oh, go get in their face, la, la, la? Have you ever said anything about someone who says, oh, you need to take him out? Have you ever said anything about, the Lincoln Project? Oh, you got to put a bullet in him. Have you ever said anything against any of the people that are on your side that constantly spew violent rhetoric? No, you don't. You don't even mention them. It's hilarious.
All right, I want to ask you about some other developing news today, if I can. Judge Cannon dismissed the documents cases you may have heard in Mar-a-Lago. Can I first get your reaction to that?
I'm not surprised. It comes from the immunity decision the Supreme Court ruled on.
No, it doesn't.
And
It's
Clarence Thomas in his dissent.
Clarence Thomas didn't dissent. Clarence Thomas wrote a concurring majority opinion. He did not dissent. But he did mention the appointment of the special counsel, which was already been discussed in that case about the documents case in Florida. That was within the documents case in Florida. And I think that's why Clarence Thomas mentioned it. It wasn't because Clarence Thomas mentioned it. That was already been discussed within that case. In fact, that was in the some of the motions to dismiss and that the Trump attorneys brought to Judge Cannon because they said that his appointment was illegal. Now, Clarence Thomas mentioned that in the immunity case, but that was not from the immunity case. Also, again, he keeps saying in his dissent, Thomas didn't dissent because he was with the majority opinion. He wrote a separate majority opinion.
Said that independent prosecutors appointed by the Attorney General aren't legit. That's the basis on which.
Because the law on independent counsel is expired, and you cannot create a new officer of the United States government that has no balance or check on their power above the Justice Department or above the other branches of government. That's why they said it's unconstitutional.
This judge moved to dismiss. And
the judge did move to dismiss. The defense of Donald Trump moved to dismiss, and the judge ended up dismissing it because on that grounds.
But I had an independent prosecutor look at me. They spent months on my going through, and I was totally cooperative.
And yet they didn't prosecute you because you're a what did they say? A sympathetic older gentleman with a bad memory.
In and out of my house, there were, I don't know, the last time in, there were like 10, 12 agents in my house for 9 hours unaccompanied, going through every single thing I had. That's appropriate. And they looked at me and concluded I didn't do a damn thing wrong.
False.
But my generic point
That's false.
That it's, well, the basis upon which
he didn't finish the sentence. Another finished sentence he didn't finish.
Specious because I don't agree with Clarence Thomas' dissent. And
it wasn't a dissent.
Decision on immunity.
It was a concurrence.
In light of this decision, the delay in the Georgia case, the Supreme Court decision on immunity, which you referenced, the former president has seen a series of legal wins recently. You've actively campaigned on his legal woes. Can you do anything like that anymore?
Well, sure. I can talk about what I think is appropriate. What I think is appropriate. I think the Supreme Court made a terrible decision. I think.
Are you undermining the rule of law in America by questioning the Supreme Court? Are you delegitimizing the justice system by saying that, Joe Biden?
Justices he appointed have, in fact, been the most conservative, and I would argue, if you survey constitutional scholarship, they seem out of touch with what the founders intended.
Really? Because they seem to go specifically on what the founders intended. Thank you, Avocados Diablo. Another tray in the tip jar saying Joe should be real careful when speaking of this dismissal, seeing as how he had a similar case not even prosecuted because he is a dotard and an idiot of an old man. Okay, I may have paraphrased. Yes, you did paraphrase, but that's a fantastic paraphrase. You get a extra bell and a little horn and whatever else. Here, we'll go to these two. All right.
Before this violent turn of events over the weekend, the talk, as you know, was about you and your future, if you should stay in the race. Your allies, James
please
Clyburn,
stay in the
Nancy
race, Joe.
Pelosi,
Please.
have kind of put it out there that they're waiting for your decision, giving you time to make your decision. What I hear from you is that
you've already made
your decision. Are you still comfortable in that decision? Has anything changed in the last several days?
No.
What do you make of people like
older.
Nancy Pelosi, though, who seem to be of the opinion that there is a window for you to make?
By the way, it's time for Nancy Pelosi to go too. Let me get that out there right now. Okay.
This choice. What aren't they getting?
Look, We knew this was going to be a close race from the moment he announced. The idea that
we
are in a situation where, if you look at all the polling data,
that says you're losing in all the swing states.
But there's no wide gap between us.
But you're losing in all the swing states. All of them.
And
every single one.
One of the arguments that can be made.
And please stay in the race.
We have the most successful presidency of any president in modern history, maybe since Franklin Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Passed more major legislation no one thought could get done.
Who are these people who thought they couldn't get the legislation done? I'm confused. Who are the people that they said we never could get it done? That's just, you're hyping your own shit with your Democratic Congress.
We're able to put together consensus. We're able to unite NATO. We're able to deal in foreign policy.
We were able to unite NATO. I mean, NATO wasn't already united. It's a North American Treaty Association. That sounds kind of united already, right? What does that mean, Joe? What does that mean?
Why don't you just decide to rest on those laurels? And the answer is because the job's not finished.
Do you feel like you've weathered the storm on this issue of whether you should be on the ticket or not?
Look, 14 million people voted for me to be the nominee.
That is true. The Democrats, in their primaries, voted for Joe Biden because there really wasn't much of another choice on the Democrat side because he's the incumbent president. And I fully support Joe continuing the race, but, you know.
In the Democratic Party, okay?
And?
I listen to them.
In your last TV interview, you were asked if you had watched the debate, and your answer was, I don't think so, no. Have you since seen it?
I've seen pieces of it. I've not watched the whole debate.
And the reason I ask, because
you were a disaster.
The question is, are you all on the same page? Are you seeing what they saw, which was moments of, frankly, that appeared to be, you appeared to be confused?
Lester, look.
Get mad, Joe.
Why don't you guys ever talk about the 28 lies he told?
Because if they talk about the Donald Trump lies, they have to talk about all the lies you told. That's why. They can't ignore all the lies you told during the debate. And there were multiple lies you told during the debate. There's multiple lies you've told in this interview that you keep saying over and over again that are not true. But he's a little mad. He's mad at the media. He's mad at the media now.
Where are you on this? Why didn't the press ever talk about that?
They talk about it all the time. You can go look up lies during the debate, Donald Trump, and every fucking outlet has Donald Trump lied about this and Donald Trump lied about that. He's talking to Lester Holt of NBC News. They're a mouthpiece for the DNC. They do all the time, and Lester will tell him that.
8 times it's confirmed he lied in that debate. I had a bad night.
You lied over and over, and you had a bad day. I wasn't feeling good. Oh, no.
Without making I screwed up.
Didn't finish a sentence?
But
I just asked a question because the idea that you may or may not have seen what some of these other folks have seen, you're not on the same...
I'd have to see I was there.
Well, now that's a lie, too. He was sort of there. Thank you, Efficacy. I'll be dropping another tray of the tip jar who says, well, there were and are people who say the things he wants to do aren't something he can do with the powers he has. I think in his addled mind, that equates to, you can't get this done. You are correct, sir. You are correct. Thank you. All right.
I had to see it. I was there. And by the way, seriously.
You weren't there, and that's why you should probably watch it again. You were not there. You were, I don't know where you were, but you weren't there.
You won't answer the question, but why didn't the press talk about all the lies he told? I don't know anything about that.
We have reported many of the issues that came up during that debate.
Yes, you have.
We'll provide
yes,
you
you have.
God love you.
Okay. President Obama put out a statement after the debate.
Okay. Oh, did you catch it? He didn't say Mr. Obama. He said President Obama. He started this interview saying Mr. Trump twice. But for Obama, he says President Obama. Yeah. See? I'm telling you. He doesn't. In fact, Have any of you ever heard anyone in the media say Mr. Obama? Now, I've heard people say Barack Obama. Like Sean Hannity doesn't call him President Obama. He calls him Barack Obama. But the media is completely deferential to Barack Obama. But he said Mr. Trump at the beginning of this. I found that interesting. I caught that immediately as this interview started. Wait a minute. Why are you calling him Mr. Trump? You mean President Trump or former President Trump? It's very interesting.
But should he and Michelle Obama be doing more to express their confidence in you?
No, they're helping me. They've helped me from the beginning. This is my job to get this done.
That's a good answer, though.
Have you talked to him recently?
That's a good answer by Joe Biden. He can't blame anyone else. He says it's my job to get by the way, as much as he's just full of bullshit in this interview, this may be the best interview I've seen him do in a very long time. That's like, even though he can't finish a sentence. Hello, Balin. Balin Bobby's in the house. What's up? Nice to see you again.
About this?
I haven't talked to him in a couple weeks.
Have you?
That may be a lie. And I think Lester brings it up. There were a very, now maybe is it 2 weeks? I know after the debate, he sat down with Obama and maybe Bill Clinton. They've had a meeting in the last couple of weeks. They've talked. He says, I haven't talked to him in a couple of weeks. I don't know what that means.
Have you talked to him since this issue came to light?
Yes, he has.
I don't think, I may have. I don't think so.
Who do you listen to?
It was widely reported.
Deeply personal issues like the decisions whether to stay in the race or not.
Jill Biden, Jill and Hunter Biden. He says me, Jill and Hunter Biden.
Look, I've been doing this a long time.
Oh, you sure have.
The idea that I'm the old guy.
The idea,
I'm old, but I'm only 3 years older than Trump, number one.
But you're light years older. Excuse me, what's my word I was using for this? Decrepitness. Your decrepitness is light years beyond Trump.
And number two, my mental acuity's been pretty damn good. I've gotten more done than any president has in a long, long time, in 3.5 years.
Have you now?
So
that's
I'm
a scary
willing to be
look.
judged on that. I understand why people say, God, he's 81 years old. Whoa, what's he going to be when he's 83 years old or 84 years old? It's a legitimate question to ask.
I want to ask you about, just shortly before you and I sat down, former President Trump named his vice
there he called him Trump, President Trump, former President Trump.
Presidential pick, J.D. Vance. What does that tell you, his qualities, what does that tell you about former President Trump's values in terms of who he will surround himself with in a next administration?
People who agree with him. Duh. What is that? This is a dumb question, and Biden actually adeptly kind of swats this one away, except he does bring up the fact that J.D. Vance said some bad things about Trump in the past. Well, so have I. I was a never Trumper. I'm not a never Trumper anymore. That people change.
It's not unusual. He's going to surround himself with people who agree completely with him. Have a voting record. I support him. Even though if you go back and listen to the things that J.D. Vance said about Trump.
Well, he said some things about you.
Hey, imagine what Kamala Harris said about you, Joe Biden. Remember? Remember that debate? It was just a debate. It was just a debate when she said you're a racist asshole. Remember that? Okay, I'm paraphrasing now. Cannon Hotep was in the house. What's up? Yeah. So, yeah. He brings up what J.D. Vance said about Joe Biden in the past. Remember what Kamala Harris said about you in the past, Joe?
Yeah.
Oh, no, well, he said something about me, but see what he said about Trump.
See what Kamala Harris said about you.
Come on, man. Look,
there it is.
The point I'm making is that J.D. Vance has adopted the same policies, no exceptions on abortion, making sure that he supports the new $5 trillion tax cut that Trump wants to give. In the next
$5 trillion tax cut. There he goes again. Any of you heard about the $5 trillion tax cut? You over there? Huh? No, you? I ain't heard about no $5 trillion tax cut.
administration, signing on to the whole notion of whether or not we're going to, he says there's no climate change happening. I mean, he signed on to the...
Nobody says there's no climate change happening. Nobody says that. Climate changes all the time. It changes all the time. And Florida is underwater right now. New York City is just about to go under. Guam is about to tip. You know, climate change is fucking up oh, wait, what? Florida's not underwater? No, I was just in Florida. The beaches are about the same place that the pictures I've seen they are. Yes, global warming ever since the Ice Age.
To the Trump agenda, which he should if he's running with Trump.
Mr. Trump has said he's giving you a chance to redeem yourself. Basically, the idea of engaging in another debate.
We're going to have another debate.
Yeah, you're going to have one in September that's on the books.
We're going to have a debate.
Would you be open to doing one in the next few weeks?
I'm going to debate.
They're not going to do a
him
debate in the
when we
next
agree
few
to
weeks.
debate, and I'm going to debate him in September.
But if the opportunity came up to do one
Good.
between now and then, is there a sense of wanting to get back on the horse?
I'm on the horse. Where have you been? I've done 22 major events, met thousands of people, overwhelming crowds, a lot happening.
Overwhelming.
I'm on the horse. What I'm doing is going out and demonstrating to the American people.
But the problem is, you might just, anytime now, you may fall off the horse. But please keep running.
I have command of all my faculties, that I don't need
Do
notes,
you?
I don't need teleprompter. I can.
I'm going back 10 seconds.
On the horse. What I'm doing is going out and demonstrating to the American people that I have command of all my faculties, that I don't need notes, I don't need teleprompter. I can go out and answer any questions at all. And I stood there when NATO was in town. I stood there for an hour.
And called on the list of people they told you to call on. They gave me a list of people I'm supposed to call on. Who the fuck is they? And why did you only call on people on that list? Except for that one question you let one reporter get off. That was not a big boy press conference. You got a list of people that you were allowed to call on. Did you call on Fox News, Peter Doocy? Did you call on the guy from the Washington Examiner that shows up there? Did you call on anyone that might ask you a critical question? Now, they did ask him some different questions. But they all had the prepared question, and they were allowed one other question. And that's what the rules were of the people who were on the list. They gave him, whoever the fuck they is, to call on. So don't act like you just were in just a big old, back and forth press conference with people just shouting out questions and you just doing some random, taking some random questions. Shut the fuck up. Hello, TC. What's up? Oh, wait a minute, real quick. Thank you, Avocado Stiabli. Yes, New Orleans is underwater. He says New Orleans is underwater, though it always has been. And did he just say he rides the white pony? If you want to ride, ride the white pony. Ride horse. Ride the white horse. Do you know those guys are like German or something? They're two German white guys. That song was a kicker back in the day, right? White Horse. And I had no idea it was a couple white guys from like Germany or wherever the hell the fuck they from. That song was a banger. Anyway, here we go.
And answer questions.
If you were to continue to run and be
What do you mean
nominated,
if? Okay, this is going into George Stephanopoulos territory, where he keeps saying, as if Joe Biden hasn't already told him he's running, if you're going to continue running. Well, if this happens, what would cause, can we beg you to get out of the race because you're a senile old fucker? He keeps doing it every time. And Biden, to his credit, I think in this one says again, I am running, you dumbass. I've said it over and over. But anyway, here's Lester.
When NATO was in town, I stood there for an hour and answered questions.
If you were to have
What do you mean,
continue
if?
to run and be officially nominated, what happens if you have another episode like we saw during the debate?
What happened to another?
Yeah, what happens if
What happened?
you have another performance on that on that level?
Then I'm fucked.
I don't plan on having another performance on that level.
All right. Mr. President, it's always good to talk to you, good to see you. Thank you for making some time for us.
Sometimes come and talk to me about what we should be talking about.
All right.
Okay, the issues.
Well, you got to talk about what's happening now. Okay, and then they have a analysis after this. So when you see this in the links, there's the NBC people.
Always happy to talk.
The NBC people analyze it afterwards. So there's a lot more to that if you want to watch the rest of it. So there it is. That's that was the interview with Lester Holt. I'm sure this one will be taken down like my one with George Stephanopoulos. I got to go dispute that and tell him to fuck off. It's fair use because I am absolutely creating new content by doing analysis of what they were saying. So YouTube, you can kiss all of my big fat ass. And ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm technically out of time here. Well, let me tell you what I got in the links. I didn't really get to into any of this stuff today. So in the links today, there's several articles about JD Vance. There's also an article about this interview in the New York Post. Now, this is an interesting headline because we just went through that interview, and Biden did get annoyed with Lester Holt a few times. I don't know if I would call it Biden snapping repeatedly at Lester Holt. I mean, he didn't get into that yelling and stuff. He did, but he was clearly annoyed by some of the questions and wanted it to go in a different direction and wanted to be one of those normal Biden-friendly interviews. But yeah, the headline that the New York Post came out with, Biden snaps repeatedly at Lester Holt in combative NBC interview days after Trump assassination attempts. What's with you guys? Well, yeah, he did say that. I don't know if I'd call it snap, though. Also in the links today, legal insurrection. There was a march at the RNC protest, but they didn't get the memo to tone down the rhetoric. So they're out here, no, Trump, stop Trump the racist, no, this, that. Far left march in RNC started as a protest in Milwaukee with its usual rhetoric. The coalition to march on the RNC has been around since 2008. The usual suspects endorsed the group American Party of Labor, Code Pink, Climate Justice Committee, Party of Communist USA, and a bunch of anti-Israel groups. The organization had already raised bail money for anyone arrested. And according to them, Trump brought it on himself. The March of the RNC press conference in Milwaukee, speaker condemned assassination attempts on politicians, but, quote, it's undeniable that Trump's rhetoric, policies, and actions could have contributed to the climate of increased violence, legitimized hate crimes by white nationalists. What? What do you mean he legitimized hate crimes by white nationalists? That's just a flat-out lie. Let's see what they said here.
Of any political leader. We grieve for the families of those who died and were injured on Saturday. At the same time, it's undeniable.
Undeniable.
Rhetoric, policies, and actions have contributed to a climate of increased violence and legitimized hate crimes by white nationalists. A la vez, no se puede negar.
Really? I'm kind of curious. If you could show me some evidence of that, I would love to hear it. I would love to hear it. Thank you. Cryptic's in the house. Nice. Appreciate you. Cryptic says, Joe Biden looks like TC after falling out of his tree and landed on his nut stash or sack. Wait, looks like TC after falling out of his tree and landed on his nut stash or sack. I'm trying to understand it, Cryptic, but the message itself is cryptic. But I do appreciate dropping a 6 bomb into the tip jar. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. You are a great American. Sort of. Are Asians Americans? I don't know. Sorry, I'm just fucking with you. Also, here's one. And of course, there is the prerequisite: no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. So yes, they are toning down the rhetoric. Hey, here's one. Hey, hey, ho. Republicans have to go. They're having trouble getting it together. Apparently, these are all the white protesters because they can't seem to chant together. That was a joke, white people. You know me. I'm full of jokes. And then let's see, what's this one happening now? A large crowd marching through Milwaukee as part of the March on RNC outside the Republican National Convention. One person in a Trump mask marches in an orange prison jumpsuit. So there you go. Isn't he special? And let's see, this guy, protest against RNC, moved to road blocking sign and hop the roadblock barricades as they march near the Republican National Convention and get shot by the Secret Service. Okay, they're not really. So they moved the road closed sign. And then here's a good one. Jacob Blake's uncle slams, well here, this is Jacob Blake's uncle talking at this march to the RNC.
We have to get out and vote for whoever is going to beat the orange-faced guy. We are talking about
the
Trump.
Orange-faced guy.
If you value your freedom like we value ours, there will be no fight if he hits the office. There will be a large gathering up of people corralling and being put in center weight. Like
really?
They sent you out to the gulag or whatever.
He's going to send you to the gulags.
The time is now to fight for your rights.
What?
Not later, right now. We must stand up, get out and vote.
And how did you get on this dais?
Send him back with his racist, 34 criminal habit, convicted felon self. Nobody deserves like that to be our president.
You know, your nephew had a few felonies too. You know what I mean? He's got, oh boy. Anyway, they got the message. They're toning down the rhetoric. Federalists, 5,000 leftist demonstrators descend on the GOP convention 48 hours after the Trump assassination. More on that protest. In Breitbart, the exclusive. Republicans at convention laugh at Biden's unity push after years of Democrat demagoguery. Oh, TC is a dirty tree rat. Oh, thank you, Cryptic. I didn't quite understand that. Okay, so that helps me a lot. So here, did y'all see when Donald Trump Jr. clowned the MSNBC reporter? This is actually funny. Is this the one? Where is the one where he does that? Oh, I don't know. Was this it? Donald Trump Jr. calls MSNBC clowns. Okay, here it is.
We all thought the science were pointing pretty strongly to J.D. Vance.
His resolve is only further strengthened. I think he did spend a lot of time changing up the message of what it's been. He's been under constant attack, but it's a different time in America. A lot's happened in 48 hours.
Don, what is that change going to look like, Don? What practically, your father as president, I think you would even say, was a divisive figure. What's it going to look like in the second term?
I don't think he was a divisive figure at all. I think the media created divisiveness around him. They lied about Russia collusion. They said he was a traitor. They went after him in every which way as possible. If the media actually starts being an honest broker, talking about the things that he did, the prosperity he brought, the peace deals that he signed around the world, rather than the disaster that we're living right now, I think you'd do everyone in the country a big favor.
I know immigration's important to him. I covered the family separation crisis closely. Will we continue to see policies like separating 5,000 children deliberately from their parents?
You mean the Obama administration?
You know they didn't do that, sir.
Okay. Sure.
Will there be a second family separation policy?
It's MSDNC, so I expect nothing less from you clowns. Even today, even 48 hours later, you couldn't wait. You couldn't wait with your lies and with your nonsense. So just get out of here.
Good answer, Donald Trump Jr. In line about the family separation thing. You know, I'm curious, how often has this reporter asked about the 85,000 children that the Biden administration has lost track of, that they put out in some of these families supposedly, and they've lost track of them. All right. Also in the links today, let's see what else I got. And then I got to get out of here pretty quickly. In the front page, mass murder Audrey Hale's writings will not be released. Apparently, this judge doesn't believe that they should have her writings released. They put out the so-called manifestos of all these other mass pew-pew people, but apparently, Chancery Court Judge Aisha L. Miles, who boasts of a diverse and inclusive perspective, has now ruled that the murderer's writings cannot be released to the public because the parents of her victims hold the copyright. Really? Well, you'd think the parents of a victim might say, fuck it, we're going to release them. That surely left copyright lawyers rather puzzled. How do the parents of the victims own the copyright to the manifesto that Audrey Hill wrote? I'm confused. So anyway, you can read that in front page in PJ Media. Media reacts to J.D. Vance being the VP exactly the way you expect. Joe Biden, here's the deal about J.D. Vance. He talks a big game about working people, but now he and Trump want to raise taxes on the middle-class families while pushing more tax cuts for the rich. Come on, man. Well, I don't intend to let him. If you're with me pitching, fuck you. Some goober on Vox briefly telling us that Vance is a naked authoritarian who helped raise money for people in prison for January 6th and wants to fire a bunch of government pension pushers. Oh, you just sold me on J.D. Vance. If he wants to fire a bunch of government hacks, great. Thank you, AD. Another Trey. It is called a Tranifesto. Get it right. Okay, I apologize. Yes, I am dumb.
You are so
I
dumb.
know I'm dumb.
You are really dumb.
I know I'm dumb. Thank you. All right. So anyway, if you want to see the media losing their asses over J.D. Vance, also MSNBC. Oh, yeah, did you hear about that? Morning Joe was taken off the air yesterday for, I guess, temporarily the day after the weekend after the shooting, because I guess it's too divisive. MSNBC yanked their flagship show Morning Joe off the air Monday over concerns the host would say something inappropriate about the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. Now, I don't think they would have, but some of their guests might have. So anyway, yeah, that's according to CNN. This is CNN. So, and I know Joe wasn't happy about that. And I don't mean Joe Biden. I mean Joe Scarborough. Anyone know what happened to his secretary? Let's see. As American teachers on the brink of chaos, the Washington Post highlights Taliban climate change initiatives. Oh my God, the Taliban has climate change initiatives. Good for them. Isn't that special? On PJ Media, the media wonk tries to ambush Don Jr. and hilarity ensues. So that's that same interview, and he got owned. That little moment of glory by Don Jr. Donald Trump announces J.D. Vance's running mate. You can get more details in Breitbart. New York Post bandaged Trump to finally appears to RNC just days after dodging an assassin's bullet. Well, he didn't dodge it. He just happened to turn his head at the right moment to not get one of those what do you call that in Call of Duty? Headshot. Anyway, and again. National Post says J.D. Vance is the ultimate non-compromise candidate. He didn't feel like he had to go with the, diversity and equity inclusion type of candidate, even though, you can't guarantee that Kamala Harris was that. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But look, Vance agrees with Trump on policy, whether or not at one point he was a never-Trumper, like myself. I don't knock him for at one time being a never-Trumper. There was a lot of us who were won over by the actual actions of the man in the White House at the time. So anyway, there's and also the right in this American Conservative, the right reacts to the J.D. Vance decision, so you can get some reactions there. Also in the Post, Trump invites the whole nation to a new America First Republican Party at the RNC. He's pushing hey, let's fix our own shit before we go and help anybody else, which I agree with 100%. Legal insurrection. The RNC booed Mitch McConnell when announcing Kentucky's votes for Trump, which that was beautiful. And that cheer is for the audience at the RNC for booing Mitch McConnell. When is he retiring yet? Is he running again next time? He needs to go. I'm done with him. PJ Media. Whoa, young voters are abandoning the Democrats in droves. There's polling showing that 2016, 51% young man ID as Democrat, and 2023, 39%. That's a drop of 12% points on young men identifying as Democrats. Now, is that because they're all cross-voting against Trump in primaries? Who knows? But there are many signs that the younger crowd is saying, Excuse me. Fuck Joe Biden. So here you go. Daily Wire, Elon Musk has pledged a staggering sum of money to elect Trump. He's talking about giving $45 billion a month to America PAC, which is a Trump-friendly political action committee. Other backers of the PAC include Palantir Technologies co-founder Joe Lonsdale and Winklevoss twins. I don't know who the fuck are the Winklevoss twins. And U.S. Ambassador Kelly Craft and her husband Joe Craft, who is the CEO of Alliance Resource Partners. Anyway, $45 billion a month to America PAC? Wow. And he has fully endorsed President Trump and hoped for his rapid recovery, Musk said on X, the app formerly known as Twitter. So that's some big money for the Donald Trump coffers. And I think this is the last one. Hollywood and Toto, which is, what's his name? Christian Toto. The very best and worst reactions to to the Trump shooting. We'll just do one. Tim Robbins. To anyone drawing a parallel between my film Bob Roberts and the attempted assassination of Trump, let's be clear. What happened yesterday was a real attempt on the president's life. Now, by the way, not all of these takes from Hollywood are bad. I just meant to tell you that. A human being, or excuse me, those that are denying the assassination attempt was real are truly in a deranged mindset. A human being was shot yesterday, another killed. They may not be human beings that you agree with politically, but for shame, folks, get over your blind hatred of these people. They are fellow Americans. This collective hatred is killing our souls and consuming whatever is left of our humanity. So, good take from Tim Robbins. I'm in some ways shocked. Most celebrities stayed rather quiet rather than sharing compassion for Trump following the assassination attempt. A few, like Stephen King, doubled down on their gun-control narratives, avoiding messages of peace and or unity. But then there was Tenacious D. I don't know, you probably already saw this. We're in their concert. It was Kyle's birthday, and the other fat guy, they gave him a birthday cake and said something about a wish. So here it is.
Don't miss Trump next time.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Way to go there, Kyle. You piece of shit. Anyway, all right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you for joining me on the Morning Night Live. I got to go. So do the whole thing, the like button thing, and share the stream after the stream because, you know, somebody might catch on. And thanks for all you newer people who've been showing up. I really appreciate you. And all the old regulars, you are awesome as always. Thank you. Our spots today, AD, Cryptic, Tire, I don't know, somebody else maybe. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll be back tomorrow at the same bat time, same bat channel. But that's it for today. Gotta go. My name is P Dog Knight. And I am out of here. Have a great fucking day. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thanks for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.